guys, I just woke up and I've been thinking about something since last night that has kind of pissed me off the more I think about it, to be honest. And it's something that I thought was harmless a few years ago when I first started dating. But looking back now, I kind of realize the weight of this type of advice and how common it is on YouTube especially, and how toxic it is. So I don't think this has to be a 3 tips kind of video or one where I have a bunch of notes. I think it's best
to leave it simple.
So, the worst dating advice you can be given, and the worst dating advice I've been given just from watching dating coaches on YouTube, is to pre-package your behavior in order to gain the most attention and attraction from those you date possible. So instead of showing up as yourself, reacting to things the way that you just normally would on a day-to-day basis, being honest about your feelings, your thoughts, who you were, who you are, and who you hope to be. Instead of just being organic about all those things and just trying to have a good time on a date or texting people your actual responses to things, how you actually feel about what they've said, or the truth of questions that they ask you. Instead, these dating coaches give you lines to say, give you pre-packaged texts to send if you get a specific kind of question or you're in a specific situation, and just altogether give you advice about forming your personality in front of those people, or packaging your personality in front of those people in a way that is not completely truthful and honest. So I feel there's a difference between, the more we date, the more experiences we have, the more friendships we have, the more interactions in general, we start to get a natural sense of when is the right time to share certain things and when it's better to hold off until you feel more secure with that person. That is a completely different thing than pre-packaging yourself in order to suit somebody else, in order to be attractive to somebody else, instead of you just having a good time being yourself and accepting that others will react to you in various ways, and that's just a part of life. Instead of that, people, dating coaches, I'm not going to say exactly who, they try to teach you that you need to find a happy medium in all of your responses, all of your interactions. You can't be too passive, you can't be too aggressive, you have to be just right in every situation. You need to be aware of how that person might react, and you need to edit yourself so that they won't leave or feel insecure, feel upset, or feel like you're too easy, or feel like you're too hard to get, or whatever it is. You need to be just right so that then you have the best chance of the vast majority of people being okay with you. That is so unbelievably toxic. And I understand these dating coaches probably feel they need to get content out there, they need to maintain and grow an audience, and people are often looking for easy ways out, easy fixes to things. So I can see why they would make those videos, but they rarely ever touch on the fact that if you have to pretend to be somebody else or package who you really are in a very specific kind of way to come off as good as possible, that is not good, that's unhealthy. I understand that in certain circumstances, if you get a very specific question that isn't rude to be asked, that isn't unusual, but you just feel uncomfortable, you don't really know how to phrase it, right? Sometimes there can be specific responses that a dating coach can give you that helps you out, that kind of describes what you want to say already, but in a way you weren't able to think of at the time because you were too anxious or too uncomfortable. And maybe sometimes a dating coach can help you out of a situation that you don't know what to do in and give you kind of a roadmap for that. And sometimes that's a good thing. I'm not saying all pre-packaged kind of texts or lines are necessarily bad, because sometimes it can help you if you're in an uncomfortable situation or you're anxious or you don't know what to say to a specific kind of question that isn't rude to be asked in the first place or overstepping a boundary in the first place. Or it can get you out of a situation where you feel unsafe, or it can get you out of a situation where you don't want to hurt the person, but you really don't know how to explain something to them that would otherwise hurt them in a normal situation. And as a woman specifically watching dating advice coaches who talk about, women dating men, a lot of them are men, and they describe situations, they describe questions that you might be asked that are inherently misogynistic. It's just that simple. They are clearly situations that many women maybe know well that are rude questions to be asked or unfair situations to be in that simply would not occur if the roles were reversed and the woman was the one asking these questions or putting the man in this situation. Most of the time, that just isn't the case because it would be seen as insane or ridiculous or insanely rude to ask these kinds of questions. I don't think I need to say specifically what they are, but as a woman watching advice about dating guys, especially young women who don't have any experience, seeing these coaches talk about how you need to have this perfect response ready that comes off just right, just attractive and alluring, not needy, not confused or upset or scared. You just need to come off perfectly. And they don't touch on the fact that the question that they're referring to that you should have the response for is already wrong, is already messed up, is already misogynistic. The situation they're talking about you being in, that many women have been in before, is already unfair, double standards, or rude, or makes the person feel unsafe, uncomfortable, but you need to come up with the right response so that that person doesn't leave or that person doesn't feel intimidated or feel like they did something wrong or rude when they did. And when it's not an unfair situation, it's just daily life, it's just as bad to be like, okay, I need to be somebody else, or I need to be a version of myself and not how I just naturally feel today. And I'm not saying that, if you're feeling out of control or aggressive or like you just don't care about people's feelings, I'm not saying that you should put that on other people. I'm not saying that you should be rude to other people, be aggressive to other people, treat people unfairly. But just on a normal day, when you're on a date and you're just talking to somebody in a kind, respectful way, in a normal way, you can't just be yourself. What it is at its core is what's wrong. It's not the idea that you can't give advice about a specific thing to say to people. It's not that. It's behavioral. It's innate of who you are. Trying to alter that, or if you're in an unfair situation where you feel you need to respond, thinking you have to come off in such a specific way when you were put in an unfair situation to begin with, or asked a rude question. So it's just kind of, I guess, hand in hand, behavioral and responsive. Taking that kind of advice, prioritizing that kind of toxic advice is leading you down the road of being with somebody possibly that you wouldn't have been with if you were just being yourself. It's really just a trap, because ultimately it leads you down the road of, yes, maybe getting that person to date you or be with you. But your attraction to them is based on the superficial if it's not based on the fact that you can be yourself with them. That is the most foundational and important element of being with somebody, that you can be yourself with them, that you feel free around them to express your sorrows and your happiness, your concerns and your carefree moments, everything. And yes, sometimes you will come off as imperfect. But as long as you're both trying, that's what a healthy relationship is. It's not, being aggressive towards somebody and thinking, oh, I don't have to adjust my behavior to be respectful. Like, that's something different. You should be watching what you say if you're going to be rude to somebody or you're feeling like you're aggressive or out of control. You shouldn't be unfair to them, but they shouldn't be unfair to you either. Expectations should be fair. Just respecting each other, respecting each other's boundaries and standards, but nonetheless being yourself, because if who they truly are and who you truly are just don't quite add up, just don't quite work, and there's always this sense of walking on eggshells with either one of you, and a sense of stress or tension that you feel you have to correct, then it's not healthy and it's a waste of both of your time. even if you do have some fun moments with that person, you don't want to let them go. There's an aspect of the relationship that's great and you will miss it. If you can't truly be yourself, your imperfect self, and grow with this person, you're setting yourself up to constantly be in a play and be playing a character and not be in reality and have so much energy wasted trying to maintain a facade. And it starts in the small ways. So that's all I wanted to talk about. Probably a little bit longer than I wanted to talk about it, but I always end up doing that. So I hope that was helpful. I think it's really important because it's so normalized these days. And maybe it always has been, but I think that we can progress past that. So I hope you guys are having a good day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.